All right, welcome out, guys. We are gonna start hauling manure today. If you can see behind me, the loader and one manure truck is out here, and I'm out here at the dairy. I just brought Trevor out. He's gonna run one of the trucks. We found it faster about a year or two ago to just have a loader driver that just loads trucks, and the truck drivers don't have to get out. We used to have to get out of the trucks, load our own trucks, and we always thought it was faster, but also they didn't want to change how they did it for the last 50 years, 60 years. But it is actually faster to have a loader driver in the trucks. So we are out here just getting going. Let me show you what the areas look like. This is one of the top upper areas. This is actually the end that is the least full. So there's a whole bunch of manure right there. And then if you look back through that window, Trevor's pushing. It's kind of hard to see because it doesn't want to focus correctly, but Trevor is pushing up the manure. There is a lot of manure out here. So if we drive up here, we have an upper, a middle, and a lower area. The upper area is the biggest. The middle area is usually the sloppiest because that's what connects to the manure lagoon. They're scraping out liquid sloppy manure right now. It's not liquid, but it's just really sloppy manure. That big wooden wall over there is the weeping wall. That's what is supposed to separate the solids from the liquids. And then this area right here, these are what we call the push-offs. And right on the other side of these concrete little blocks, it's about a 10-12 foot drop to the bottom. So that manure right there is about 10 feet deep. And that is usually, when we get down into this area, it's usually really solid, or sloppy, because the lagoon tends to run back. But it does look like they have the lagoon drained down pretty good. This is solid that they've been hauling up. So they have been hauling solid up in here from back behind. There's a bunch of dry trails behind the dairy. They've been hauling solid manure in to mix with the slop to try and make it so we can at least haul it, because our beds are definitely not watertight. And then down there over the hill on the other side is the lower area, but they got that cleaned out really good. There's actually not a whole lot down there. So I'm gonna go back. We're still trying to see here they come with a load of solid manure from their side dump. But I'm gonna go back, and we're trying to we only have a few of our trucks ready. We don't have all of them ready, so I'm gonna go back. We have to finish putting the beaters on a couple of them, and we're gonna get going here pretty soon. We have, I think, 3 or 4 trucks ready to go, and yeah, we'll get going here pretty quick. We got it, well, hopefully by noon. We're missing a few things that we can't find. There's some pins that hold the beaters on, and we're missing one of them. There's 4 of these big pins, and one of them's gone. So we may have to make a new pin or something, but yeah, we're trying to get them ready, trying to get them going. The problem with switching them from manure to hay to potatoes and back to hay and back to manure is things get misplaced, because we switch them so often that every once in a while, like a bolt gets lost or this gets lost. But it's like we lost a big block plate one year for the top, and we just had to get a big metal plate and put on. So it works, it's just not ideal. It doesn't work perfectly, but it does work. So we're trying to get the last, I think there's 2 trucks we're trying to get the beaters finished up putting on, and there's one truck that the back door doesn't want to close quite straight. It's like crooked when it closes, but I think the rest of them are ready to go. I think they're all good to go. So I think we've got 8 or 9 trucks, but because after spud harvest all of our pipe movers went back to Mexico, we don't have enough drivers to run all of them. So I think we have enough drivers to run 6 trucks, which we should still be able to haul most, if not all, of the manure pretty quickly. Hopefully a week or 2 we'll have it all out. So we're gonna get going here.
Well, we're getting our manure trucks ready. Josh is cutting some links out because, as you can see, we're out of adjustment and it's a little loose. So, just hook it up to the loader here and pull all the slack out to the back. And you can see we already did this side. Just cut the links out, put a bolt in, and weld the nut on. So we can, and then we'll put the beaters on so we can haul some manure. So to get these little pins out, you can see right here, these little pins. Get those out, you got to make it red hot. And usually they'll tap out, but we'll see.
That won't fit all the way through, so.
We got the beaters on, and as you can see right there, you got to line all those little fingers up. So all that lines up in the truck. We have to replace that bearing. And on this truck, we got a bearing out right here. So, gotta fix that.
One of the beaters we've been putting on. This is a really long chain that Josh is putting on here. And we just got it put up and put on, and see we've definitely hauled a lot of manure. The points are worn down, but this one, we had to build a new door for the back a couple years ago, so we've had to rebuild and readjust, and it works pretty good now. But yeah, this chain is super long, goes all the way around. But and then the other one that we still need to is the Kenworth right there with that red bed. It isn't working, and I guess this truck, the floor chain isn't tight. So, and I think this is the one that the back door is also crooked. Okay, this is the truck I'll actually be driving. Me and Josh will trade off on this truck. But we finally got it all together. I had to put these pins in. I had to make a new pin for the other side. But one thing, so we finally put quick connectors on these hydraulic lines, because these hydraulic lines, you unhook them when you take the beaters off, and they stay with the beaters. So we put quick connectors, so now we can just hook those two lines together when we take that off. So that's nice. And then this bearing, I don't know if you can see, the little dust seal on this outside is coming off. So I don't think this bearing will last very long, but it wasn't taking grease, so we turned it on and let it run. It was kind of noisy, but we greased it while it was running, and it finally started to take grease, and grease squirted out, and it's got grease in it. So I don't know, it might last, it might not last. I guess if it doesn't last, I'll change it. But we should be good to go on this truck now. Everything works good. The main problem with this truck is right here, there's this big gap where all the twine, because the dairy does a very bad job of getting the twine off, the twine wraps up right there, and then it goes into the back of the bearing. So I don't know, we put these little, this is just a 2-inch like rubber like water hose that we had laying around. We cut a piece and we put it in there on all these to maybe keep some of the twine from getting into the bearing. If anybody has any ideas to fix this problem, let me know, because like our other beds, this piece is smaller. This piece is smaller, and there's a little metal lip that comes out and goes over this piece. But I can't do this here because the bolts are right in line with it. So that wouldn't work on this one. So I've been trying to figure out another idea of something that I could close that gap so twine won't wrap up and get in the bearings. I've taken out, the bearing on that side has gone out twice, and then this one has gone out once. The top ones don't usually go out, but these bottom ones, the twine gets in there and takes the bearings out, and I don't know the best way to solve the problem. So if anybody has any ideas, let me know down in the comments. Well, I've gone and got a few loads, but I noticed so these are all the hydraulic lines that come up from this tank right here, and I noticed that it was just drizzling out, running down all over all this stuff, and I think this hose right there, that's the hose we have to unhook when we take the bed off. I think it just didn't quite get tightened up all the way. So I've got my big wrench and I'm gonna tighten it up real quick. Hopefully we can get it to stop leaking. I think I got it. I tightened it up and it didn't work and it still leaked, but I undid it and there was some hay and junk in the threads and stuff, so I cleaned all that out, then tightened it up. Now it's not leaking, but I think it leaked enough that our level's low. So I'm gonna add a few gallons to my hydraulic tank here to make sure I don't run out, because everything on this bed is hydraulically driven. So I'm gonna go put a few gallons in here in this lovely oily cap. It's clean on the inside though. And yeah, we'll get back to hauling. See, I've only done a couple loads and I'm already getting it all dirty. All right, we're out here at the dairy now. I'm gonna pull in here and Josh is gonna load my truck. Look at all that lovely fertilizer. Lovely stinky fertilizer. All right, so the reason that it's faster to have Josh load the trucks versus we load our own trucks is because Josh is ready here waiting with a scoop of manure before we even get here and back up. So it's just so much faster than us going out there and trying to load our own trucks, because it takes the time that it takes to get out of your truck, walk over there, get in the loader, go get a scoop, and the time that it takes to do that, Josh could already have 2, maybe 3 scoops in your truck already. So it really sped up a lot of how we load our trucks. It's a little bumpy in here when he dumps the scoop in there. So by doing it this way, we still only have, I think we're only running 6 trucks. 6 trucks, 2 loaders, so 3 trucks per loader. We could put 4 to 5 trucks per loader, but we have a couple other trucks, but we don't have drivers for them right now, so they're just kind of sitting. But by doing it this way, we can get way more loads in a shorter amount of time. So it cuts off quite a few days off of manure hauling. But we can only haul it when it's fairly solid, because all of these trucks leak really bad. See, the other trucks just pulled in. I'm almost full. I would be full already if it was a little more solid, but so by the time he backs up, Josh will have a load ready to go. But I think I'm almost loaded and I'll take off here. I think I'm loaded now. Yep, there we go. So let's go unload the truck. Right, so I'm out here in the field. I've got to turn my PTO on. I got to enable this, shift this down to first gear, then start going, and lift my door. See out the window, out the mirror. You can kind of see the door going up. Gotta steer, I'm getting off track here. There's a lot of stuff I gotta do. It's hard to do while filming. Might be a little shaky, so sorry about that. And then turn my belt speed up. I like to put it about 12. Alright, the poops are flying. I've already hauled that much this field, so about 100, well, 200-300 yards probably in this field. We just make a pass. So I'm driving about a foot from where the last truck went, because these trucks have horizontal meters on them. They go like this way, so they don't really fling very far out. You can see that it's flinging maybe a foot wider than the truck, so they don't fling out very far. Now they do make vertical meters that really fling it really wide, about 30 feet wide, but we have so much manure to haul that we want to just cover a truck, and then we just go 1 truck width wide all the way across the field, because with as much manure as out there, we can still cover most of our fields every single year just by going as wide as 1 truck through the field. all that manure out there. So there's lots of big clumps. It's not super spread very well, but when the disc comes through or the chisel plow, it really drags it out and smooths it out, and it mixes it all in, so it does a little bit better job. But we're getting it all hauled in the sunshine while the weather's good. Alright, I'm getting close to the end. When I do get close to the end, I turn my belt speed up to about 25 to try and get it all out by the end. And yeah, then I'll go back and get on the load. Another thing that's been happening while we're hauling manure is Christopher's been running the disc. So this field is a spud field that we did. It used to look like this, and it's now nice and smooth. He's been running the disc over some of our spud fields. He's disking he's not disking all of them. He's disking the spud fields that are going to be planted into wheat next year, because all of the fields that we haul manure on now are going to be planted into potatoes next year. So because we cannot, in order to have our potatoes be GAP certified, we cannot haul manure on the potato ground the same year that we plant the potatoes. So we have not been able to do that. So in the spring, we will haul on a lot of our potato ground that was potato ground this year that'll be going into grain next year. And so that's what he's doing, is he's disking the potato ground so that when we go haul on it in the spring, that it's all smooth. Because we didn't do that last year. We ran out of time. The ground froze before we could get all the disking done. And the fields were so rough in the spring that we just destroyed our trucks. So they were so rough in the spring that like we were breaking leaf springs, and oh man, we popped a bunch of tires. So he's disking them now so that when we do haul in the spring, we hopefully don't destroy all of our trucks driving across the hard ground and the really bumpy ground. He's going to make it nice and smooth, so in the spring it'll be smooth ground. So that's what he's doing. And he also has to, well, I'm not sure if they decided, him and my dad, Christopher and my dad, were going to decide, because my dad's running the chisel plow right now. I think we're not going to disc the manure. We usually disc it, but I think we're just going to come in right with the chisel plow, and we're going to chisel plow the manure in. So we haven't worked up the manure yet. I'm guessing that tomorrow my dad's probably going to come in the chisel plow and start working the manure in. We like to get it worked in because if it dries out, we actually lose some of the benefit. If we can work it in while it's still wet and stinky, that actually makes it better. So I'm trying to cross the highway, so I'm going to cross the highway and then I'll be back. We only have a couple fields where we have to cross the highway, and Idaho has had a population boom the last, well, basically since COVID. It's just been more and more and more people. So the highway is getting harder and harder to cross in a truck, in a tractor. And we're also hauling manure, so we don't like to haul across the highway very much because we tend to drip. I mean, the trucks aren't watertight, so they tend to drip manure all over the highway and make a big mess. And we have people complain all the time. So yeah, we have a couple fields we have to cross the highway. It's not ideal, and we try not to make a mess, but sometimes you just can't get around it. But I'm almost to the field. I'm gonna go haul load, and it'll be my last load for the day. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. We are doing manure every day, probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So all the videos coming out in the next couple weeks are gonna be about manure. There's not gonna be one every day. Sorry, that was hard. Maybe a couple a week. So you can look forward to that. And I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.